3 mistakes is all it takes for a buyer to make to get a deal to fall through. Mistake number 1 is some of you guys don't want to hire a real estate agent. Let's be real here. Truth be told, you don't pay anything for a real estate agent at the moment. That's going to change potentially in the future. Different video, right? Different discussion. However, at the moment, you don't pay anything for a real estate agent. So why would you not hire one? A lot of people will tell me, oh, well, because if I don't hire a real estate agent or if I don't use a buyer's agent, then I can get a better deal from the seller. That is not the case. 99.999% of the time, that is never going to happen. You as a buyer go to a real estate listing, if it's listed on the MLS, and you go through the listing agent. That listing agent's job is to get the best possible deal for the seller, and they don't care about whether or not you get the best deal as a buyer. So in your best interest, the best thing to do is to hire a real estate agent, real estate broker, which by the way, costs you nothing. And again, we can get into that later in a different video. But at the moment, you need to hire a real estate agent because they're the ones that are gonna watch out for your best interest, and it's free. Mistake number 2 that home buyers make is you waive the inspections. Listen, what are you thinking, waiving the inspections? We see this a lot with investors because they come in, they don't care what the property looks like. They invest a few $1,000s into it, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, and then they use that house for rental purposes or they resell it to maximize and exponentially multiply their profits, right? But you as a home buyer, you need to have an inspection because you need to know if the air ducts need to be changed out. You need to know if there's a foundation crack. You need to know if the electrical panel needs to be completely replaced at the tune of like $10,000 to $15,000, right? Let's say you have to replace all sorts of different wiring. You need to know if the piping in the property fits the requirements for insurances, right? So if you have polybutylene piping as an example, you're either one, going to get your insurance canceled immediately after they actually notice, right? Or 2, you're not even going to get a quote or an actual binder for the insurance because first you have to replace the piping, right? These are all things that come up during the inspection process that is pivotal and is very important for a home buyer to make sure they get that inspection done so they can move forward with the transaction without any hiccups and go ahead to the closing table. The third mistake that a lot of home buyers make is that they waive the appraisal. Now listen, like I said before, a lot of investors will come in and they will waive the appraisal and the inspections because their main focus is to rehab the property and get it rented out or resell it. But you as a home buyer, you need that appraisal contingency in there. If your loan product, if you're financing the property, does not have a built-in appraisal contingency, which by the way, VA and FHA both have appraisal contingencies built into it. And I mentioned those because they're some of the most common loans that are currently used. Conventional loan does not have a built-in appraisal contingency on there. So if you're doing a conventional loan, you want to write up an appraisal contingency, or you want to get your buyer's agent, your real estate agent that you hired, right, to go ahead and write up that appraisal contingency as part of your offer. The reason being is because the bank itself is still going to require an appraisal contingency more times than not. I've seen conventional banks or conventional lenders actually require some appraisals depending on the price point of the property. So if they were to do an appraisal or they were to require an appraisal and the appraisal is done, and it's a conventional loan, and you did not include an appraisal contingency as part of your offer, then you have to come out of pocket for that cash, the difference between the appraisal and the purchase price, if you want to close on that property. Don't waive the appraisal just because a listing agent or a seller is requiring you to do it in order to get the deal. That's probably not the best house for you. Unless it's the perfect house and you can justify the cash outlay. Let's say you have to give an extra $50,000 out of pocket. If you can justify that, that's on you. But that's something that I would never, ever advise a buyer to do. And it's one of those 3 mistakes that a lot of home buyers make.